All right, listen. There's a reason. Jasmine Sullivan has a song that says, "Don't forget to come and pick up your right feelings." Okay. With that said, same thing works with energy, right? Y'all nasty. You're nasty. You're dropping off energy that, shoot, everybody don't want to be in, right? This is why we were separated. Y'all had y'all space of your nastiness, and when your land wasn't producing fruit for you and growing and flourishing for you, it's because you enjoyed flopping and slopping around in nastiness, right? And the land wasn't going to yield its fruit to you. So you went over, snatched up people whose land had all the resources, and brought them over here to try to flourish your land for you, right? I'm going to get to what I'm talking about. You don't have to believe people can, or there are spiritual beings or people that God uses, right, for certain things. You don't have to believe that. But your thoughts are very powerful. Okay? And we're in America, and America, unfortunately, likes to put all those thoughts on display for everybody. If you're homosexual, we all got to see it, right? If you enjoy playing in bungo, we all got to see it, right? So now those thoughts is in us, right? Everyone ain't for it. Everyone don't agree with it, and everyone don't like it. However, you flash it on the broadcast or display to plant a seed. Okay? And now we know that they say energy doesn't die. Okay? So what does biblical text mean when it says people's nakedness is seen? Right? You go into knowing about Ham, right? And the cursing of his grandson. Gotta go and read the story, right? But the nakedness was seen. Okay? So, when I'm seeing people come around displaying their nakedness, and I can read it, right? See, what happened was people tried to do it on the down low until they just said, America just said, let's just do it. Hey, take your shirt off, be free. Okay, so now people who are in certain nastinesses, certain nasty hood, right? Yeah, that's the better word for it, nasty hood, because you guys want to be prideful doing it now, right? They just flaunt it. And there is contention because that energy, those thoughts, those forces, those things don't sit well with everyone. But because you have someone backing you, or a system backing you that says, go ahead, do it how you want, we'll pay you. You just said, okay, well, I'll just be all out nasty, right? So let me give an example. Let's just tell it what it is. Let's just say it how it is. We already know everything, the biblical text, and that's another thing. Even if it was a thought a long time ago, or was something people were doing a long time ago, right? You have a huge outpour of books containing establishing this kind of behavior. And when I say that, I'm not talking about those who can utilize the biblical text and pull from it the spiritual meaning of what God was trying to teach the people on how to be human people, right? Remember, the example goes from, first it was the creation of the earth, then the animals of the earth, right? So there are people here in animalistic behavior and thought and ways, right? Being just as nasty as they please, right? So there's one thing we know, that biblical text is heavy on the worship of being covered by the blood, right? Or let's just say being covered by the blood. Now there's people who took that and made it to mean, let's just flop and slop blood around, right? Let's just play in it. Let's just treat it like it's Play-Doh and silly putty, and you know, let's shower in it. It just gets a little weird, animalistic a little bit, right? So here we go. Women with the biblical text talks to women who have a monthly flow, telling them she's unclean for 7 days, right? She's unclean till that is over with. But what has happened? The altars of spiritual word and meaning, and those who just don't want to be obedient to spiritual guiding or coming out of animalistic behavior, they took that and they said, well, okay, if blood defiles us and we're not supposed to have anything to do with it, let's jump all in, right? So there's people out here, and look, I don't know you, so don't, if I say it and you know you're doing it, don't come looking for me, because I don't know you're doing it. I'm just speaking from biblical text, okay? There's people who said, well, they want to operate I'm trying to figure out a way how to say this, without being as gross as it is in my head. It's like, it's really disgusting. They said, let's just go ahead and utilize it to be intimate, right? And I'm grown up, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna say that just in case some children watch. They said, well, let's utilize the time of the blood flow to be intimate, right? That's extra lubricant, right? That's nasty. You're nasty. You're flopping, and look. In my opinion, it ain't for me. Okay? So there are people who are actually scouting out people who they feel are on their blood flow to do this to. There are people, just like Bathsheba was trying to come hidden when she was doing all kinds of prostitution, and they wanted to make it look like, oh, nothing to see here. But they were out scouting in their nastiness. Okay? For me personally, I don't know how you could do that when it happens for me. When I'm on my monthly, I barely like walking around on it. So I don't know how you take it to a whole nother level and doing the stuff that y'all doing in it. Okay? That's your choice. But we know spiritually what it says. What biblical texts or spiritual ancestral texts have said about that. Okay? And I get it. Some people got things to do. You gotta go outside and maybe get some groceries, or you got an emergency, or whatever the case is. I get sometimes you ain't got a man there who should be helping out and all this stuff. But hey, Sometimes you got to do that. But there are those who are extremely just out and out nasty, who try to hide amongst those who have to take care of responsibility. You understand? So let me give you an example. Like the girl, the female on the bus ride, right? She knew what she was doing. She knows she smelled like gallons and gallons of blood flow. The weird part is she followed me and my children. But now it makes sense because it's starting to make sense because she didn't want to be seen as that kind of a nasty. So she had to follow another female who she felt like possibly could be on their blood flow, which I wasn't, right? So she's following me and the children around, act like we grouped up and doing all this stuff, like I have some kind of affiliation with her, right? So because these are the type of people who praise themselves in this kind of behavior, to call themselves, what they want to say, they're the most beautiful, they're the most sought after, more people want them. They do it to gain the attention to them, as though there's some kind of high commodity prize, because they're willing to be extremely nasty. Now, dudes, if you praise that, then hell, you're going to make her a high commodity prize, because these are the ones who would be that nasty with you. Okay? So now you got people slushing around in blood, right? And then it gives birth to, right, the men who want to do it from the bungo so they can pull out blood from the dude. Look, this stuff is nasty. Y'all need to knock it off. This is why biblical text was telling you don't even start it, right? Don't even operate like that. So now you got that thought floating around. People who are operating in that are revealing themselves. They're coming out. I don't know if they know that their nakedness is being seen, right? And there is no condemnation, because look, as far as being women, we're all going to be in that energy, right? We're going to be in the energy of having blood flow because we all have periods, right? But the mindset is different. Everyone doesn't see their blood flow as, I'm on a high market, come and get it while it's hot. Okay? Everyone ain't doing that, right? But because there is a mass amount of women that they can hide, the ones who are in that mindset, who can hide amongst, it is no different than Jesus, who had to hide from, the other people. They come and they hide. They make sure they reek of it to a point where people can pick up and notice, hey, you don't notice you, right? But then they hide and say, well, we can just blame this female, right? Because you out trying to be covered in the blood, dudes, right? And then the females is out trying to cover you in the blood. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody's not for that, right? And I get it. Everyone say, well, I want to be free. I want to do what I want to do and how I want to do it. You got to figure out, you can't figure out a way to do that without forcing it on everyone else? Because think about it. If you have to make people aware that you're on it, the only way to do that, if you're not going to open your mouth and say, hey, hot and ready, is for everybody to have to smell you. It's nasty. Okay? Stop. It's not cute. Okay? Anywho. And so that energy thought is still floating around here. Okay? And so is, I can pick up on when homosexuality is. All they got to do, this is why they have to be as forceful as they're being, because they have to be able to hide themselves up under the blood. Right? Because someone took spiritual context and decided to utilize it, if not to slave bait people, then to sexually slave bait people, and to force them into all kind of damnation. Right? And then y'all forcefully go after the people who's trying to bring the light of the word for what it meant. Because you don't want to be seen in what you take so much pride in. The two don't add up. The math ain't mathing. If you're prideful at doing it, open your mouth. Wave your banner, whatever you got to do, however you're going to do it, so people have the choice of staying away from you because you're not going to stay away from other people yourself, having no sense of consideration, right? If you're so prideful at doing it, then why has everything got to be on the hush-hush until you're about to be exposed? Stop deceiving these little children and these boys. Stop being manhandling females who is an actual female because she won't cater to your aggressive, nasty ways. Y'all stop, matter of fact, from these shelters and stuff, I'm going to tell it. Y'all stop talking about, oh, Jesus, and we're going to cover you in the blood, and then you feeding her to be sexually loose because you're telling her there's going to be consequences if you don't do this for that man. You're trying to build you up a gang in your nastyhood so that we can't talk, right? So that we can't speak out, because if we ever come to the truth, this is what you're saying, if they ever mature and come to the truth of what we did to them, they have played in it as well, so they'll more than likely not say anything. I'm going to tell. Because I didn't ask you to do it. And now you just made me aware that you are forcing that stuff on children. I got a problem with that. Right? Take your prideful self, wave your banner, like far on the corner on the other side of the road somewhere. And then let those who want to be nasty with you come to you. You don't get to follow folks around and have them cater to you, or then you get violent, taking it by force. The violent take it by force. What are you taking? The behavior of Satan to kill, steal, and destroy? Or you taking something else? And then calling yourself holy, right? For being covered in the blood. Make it make sense. You don't want to hear us talk about the melanin of our flesh and the God character being in the melanin of our flesh, right? Because you want to push the ideal of red, actual physical red blood so that you can unalive someone, you can operate in filth, right? Sexual morality, or you can rape the bungo, right? Because if we actually talk about the melanin, right, then blood could mean kinfolk, right? You could be covered in the kinfolk of God character, which shows on your skin in the form of melanin, right? You can be out of character of God having those things because it shows in the mind of the things that you think, which is your nakedness, your thoughts, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. Y'all can read up on thoughts. You can read what it says about as a man thinketh. And here's what you got to understand. See, a lot of you dudes, you straight dudes, be hard on yourselves because you may experience the thought of homosexuality. All of those thoughts don't belong to you, right? It's energy. It's like it's floating around because someone thought it, dropped it off, and then started to put it into action. And so now it's part of the cycle. This is why Jasmine said, wait, hold. Don't forget to come and pick up your ew. Okay? Y'all need to... You either need to, we're not supposed to be, the earth is big enough for folks to sustain it. That's what makes culture, having the same kind of thought process. But when your land wasn't being fertile for you, because you was trying to be fertile in the moment and in the season of deathing, right? Because that's what the blood is, right? The earth wasn't yielding any fruit to you. And so you went to people, or a place on earth, space on earth, that was flourishing, and you begin to rob the people. And then you begin to enforce slavery on them, for them to make fruit happen in something unfruitful, right? So if that's not mental sickness or mental leprosy, then you have to explain to me what it is. Boop, boop. Okay? Don't be mad at me. You guys is just, it's a mother. Look, if you're going to fight that hard to protect filth, then you have to be in the understanding of how hard I have to fight to protect my young ones. Right? That's nature too. That's because some of y'all gonna say it's natural. It's natural too, for me. My young ones, people I care about, people who have spoken to me, people who have approached me in the spirit of error, people who have misused and abused their power, people who are forcing things on the youth. This is what I have to speak out to. Those are forces. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It's not a wrestle on whether or not blood holds the power to it, right? That's not the issue here. Okay? So on that note, it's sweating in here. I'm hot. And I'll talk to y'all soon.